You are now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast, brought to you by BringingDownTheBand.com, No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, and Printfinity. I am Major 7th, and I make beats. I have the t-shirts to prove it, and right now I'm surrounded by 3 grown men laughing. We are the new Old Heads. And to
Shame
my left
on
is,
you guys for laughing.
Oh, man.
And to my left, as always, is the one and only Lonegevity.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Way to fight the giggles there. To my left, giggling, extremely giggling. As always,
Extremely giggling.
He's extremely
Bigly.
Bigly giggling.
I feel you. Good atmosphere so far.
Mm-hmm.
As always, the one and only DJ Jay Diff.
Salutations,
What's going on, brother?
I am here.
I like that shirt, by the way. The
Thank
Kung
you,
Fu
thank
Kenny,
you.
Printfinity. We see you. We see you.
Appreciate it.
Oh
You
man,
need some more doorbell. Bong bong.
Shout out to RZA.
That's awesome.
And to my right, I think we can call him the Giggle Master today.
Okay.
Because he's pretty much leading all the giggles.
That's not even true. This guy's always trying.
Is that hyperbole? Am I exaggerating here?
No,
Is that what I'm doing?
he's got a good
Yeah.
brain.
Okay. Don't do that. The incomparable DJ Spoolz.
Hello, Michael.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you, man?
Can't complain. How's everything?
Good, man. Busy? As
Yeah.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Man, you know, I'm blessed, man. I can't complain.
That's right.
Episode 41. I got Glenn Rice.
I didn't even
Well, I did look
Yeah.
it up. We've got Dirk,
Oh.
and we've also got Wes Unseld.
Oh, no.
I'm going Wes Unseld.
that's where
I thought about Glenn Rice, too,
Glenn Rice was a beast.
but I would have to go Wes, Dirk, then Glenn Rice.
Wes,
That's just my personal preference. I'm not saying from a basketball player standpoint.
just personal preference. Wes
but
Unseld.
I would call this the Wes Unseld episode personally.
If you want to rock with Wes Unseld?
It's good with me.
Okay.
Sean cares a lot about it, so
That works.
He got his new phone, so he's, you know.
Well, I was
Mastering,
looking
checking it
up
out.
how old Sean Price was when he passed.
Oh, word.
That's what it was.
Shout out to Pete.
43 maybe.
43.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about him a little later on. So, the Wes Unseld episode, number 41. I can go with that.
What team did he play for? Was it
Washington
Bullets.
Bullets.
The bullets.
70s. So,
Now
yeah.
then he was like
At the
an owner.
shorts back then.
Yeah, he was a beast, though. Great outlet passer. He played with Kevin Love. Was it Kevin Love's dad, or one of the two played with Unseld?
Isn't Wes Unseld not an owner, but like in the front office now for
The Wizards?
yeah,
Perhaps. Don't quote me on that, but I
or
think
somewhere in the NBA, or maybe for the NBA or something.
he has a
That could be-
position.
yeah.
He has a position somewhere, like a higher up front
Yeah.
office position, but I can't remember the franchise. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I know
But
he was a coach for a while.
Yeah, he
dude
was.
is an OG,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah, he's a legend. So
Yep.
we can rock with Wes Unseld. That's cool. So we can.
It's cool.
So let's go ahead and jump in. This has been floating around a lot throughout the news. We've talked about it actually a little bit, but something came across the board today in terms of Spike Lee. We're talking about Colin Kaepernick, obviously. Spike Lee has planned an event in support of Kaepernick. It's gonna be-
planted?
I said planned.
Of course you did.
Thank you, though.
Mhm.
He always keep me on my toes. Appreciate you.
On your tones?
Definitely said toes. Planned event August 23rd. It's going to bring attention, obviously, to Colin Kaepernick's situation, and it will be in front of the NFL headquarters. So I think this is dope because I'm assuming it will be nonviolent. It'll just be a lot of people getting together, like no nonsense, just actually supporting Kaepernick. So I think this is a dope move on Spike's part. I do think that he's being blackballed. That's just my opinion. I don't think it has anything to do with the T-shirt. Maybe the T-shirt in Miami is an isolated incident when they talk about Castro and Malcolm X and how that might offend the Cuban population in Miami. Maybe, but I still think it's more about
What now?
well, Colin. He wore a shirt last season that had Malcolm X and Fidel Castro on it.
Okay.
So he got interviewed by one of the Miami reporters who actually was a Cuban exile or came from a family. So the guy was kind of offended about it, kind of asked him some pretty tough questions about why do you have Castro on the shirt. I can't remember exactly what his answers were, but they weren't too favorable for the Cuban population.
Oh, okay.
So people are saying that goes into the equation of them signing Jay Cutler instead of bringing Kaepernick in, who is obviously a better player.
Who brought in Jay Cutler?
Miami Dolphins, they signed him.
Okay.
He showed no interest in wanting to play. Like his wife had to talk him into playing.
Who, Jay Cutler?
Right.
Jay Cutler shows no interest in anything.
No,
It
like
seems
he was so blasé even on the press conference. He's like, yeah, my wife kind of had to talk me into playing. I'm like, this dude's a loser,
Dude,
man.
as a Bears
like,
fan, just real quick, not to get off this topic.
Yes, sir.
How long did you stay? I know you're a fellow Bears fan. How long did you stick behind Cutler, honestly? And I'll give you my honest answer, too.
To this day, I still think he's a great quarterback. I think he's probably one of the best quarterbacks out there that people could have signed. Now, does he show emotion? Now, this is where I may slightly differ from other people's opinions. I don't necessarily think he's a great leader.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it's trash because I think that's his personality type. And so I think it for the role and what people want him to be, I don't think he can fit that mold.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean that he is necessarily a bad leader, but he's not a Peyton. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not. He just doesn't look like he's a social person like that.
Yeah.
But I think he's a great quarterback. Really,
So
one playoff victory in 11 seasons.
My take on
you
that
can't put it on.
is-
I mean, you can't be on both sides of it. Like you can't just put that on Jay.
No, it's not. It's not solely on him, but I'm just saying, like, people are going back. It's kind of like Tony Romo. People go to bat for a dude that had 2 playoff victories
Just like the
in 9
LeBron
years.
argument. It's like the LeBron argument. It's the same thing though to me.
Which,
It's like
in terms of how?
you can't put everything on one player on a team sport.
No. But I'm just saying, when you look at Cutler, his body of work, if you talk about his demeanor as a leader, whatever, that's all of it's subjective. We all look at and we have opinions on it. That's fine. But we have to take his ability as a player, which I think he's very talented to his point, his ability as a player, his leadership qualities, and what he's actually done. And then you put all of those together. To me, Kaepernick is better than him. But
Now,
Yeah.
I think Kaepernick's
I don't
better than
know.
him.
So here's what I'll say to all that. The reason, and I didn't mean to take
No,
us
you-
down
you-
this path.
you're fine.
I gave up on Jay Cutler. I think
that's my
after
fault because I knew it wasn't going down this path.
I could think after the 4th year, I really did try to stick behind him. And here's why. I don't care about his demeanor one bit. It was just production
Yeah.
and
That's
not
fair.
being able to stay healthy, which even part of that, some of that is on his offensive line and things like
Sure,
that.
sure.
But at the end of the day, like I said, his demeanor never bothered me. It's all about what he did. And I just couldn't continue to justify trying to stick behind him as our starting quarterback.
Not as a franchise quarterback for as much as he was getting paid.
Oh, that was insane.
There
The
you
Bears
go.
kind of backed themselves
Yeah.
into a corner.
I agree with that.
But anyway, like,
I agree with that.
do I think, though, to the point to get back on track here, that he's a better sign than Kaepernick right now? Yes,
Okay.
I do. And here's why. I'm just talking about play. I think I went and I've watched now. It was a snow game. It was kind of snowy, but I was at the Bears-Niners game. The Bears were not a good team last year, especially defensively. They had a lot of injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and Kaepernick started it and did nothing. His production has plummeted since the year that he was in the Super Bowl. Is he I think, Terry, you made this point. Is he, from a backup quarterback standpoint, like I think you said he's better than 75% of them?
At least.
I would agree.
Minimum.
I would still agree with that.
Damn.
I think he's better than 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 or whoever the other, and I'm sorry, I'm not a Colts fan like that, whoever the other backup quarterback is. I was looking at posts from people, I don't remember who it was, or just seeing stuff on Facebook about, should the Colts sign Kaepernick, and people like, oh no, we're fine with 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 and whoever, and I was like, really?
Nah.
See, that's that.
And then we'd have to rebuild our whole
Nah.
offense around this guy. It's like, no, you wouldn't.
we know
Not at all.
we know
Like,
what that's about.
bullshit. Yeah,
That's-
that's
we
Kaepernick
know what
knows how
that's
to play
about.
football.
Yeah.
Now
he's a vet too,
he's not a franchise quarterback anymore.
16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
but he's also a veteran.
As far as what, last season?
Yeah, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco's been in shambles since Harbaugh left.
Yeah, that didn't
So
help
that didn't
things.
help,
No.
right? To his point about we can't always put it solely on one player. I agree with that. But 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and that situation in terms of Harbaugh pretty much getting pushed out the door. You got
and his own situation.
his own situation on top of that compiles that. And then you have, what was my man name that kept getting arrested? The defensive end. He had 2 guys that were in and out of legal troubles. Huge players on the defensive end. I can't call their names. I'm sorry. I have to look it up. But a lot of that stuff happened. I'm not trying to give him an excuse because you play how you play. But in my opinion, and I'll throw it to Diff, I still think even with the Jay Cutler signing, people are trying to find ways to say that the sign or justify the signings based off everything but the obvious. And I think he's being blackballed. That's just my opinion. I'll throw it to Diff.
I mean, that's all truth. I definitely, I said definitely.
Yeah, get on him.
I corrected myself.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, he's being blackballed. There's no way around it. I mean, it's
I don't see a
blatantly
way around it.
obvious.
Yeah, I don't see a way around it.
And then the outcry from Colts fans saying that if we were to sign Kaepernick, they wouldn't watch football, and
Come on,
I'm
man.
a season ticket holder and I won't go to any games. Who cares?
Oh yeah, I saw people saying that. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
The money cares.
Yeah, the money definitely
it's about
cares.
that money.
But
I agree.
with I don't know who all in here isn't watching football this season or ever again. Considering the black ball incident, and I mean this isn't anything new with the NFL though.
I agree.
It's they pick and choose who they support.
Greg Hardy got picked up.
Yeah.
Did he really?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Who
I'm
signed-
not recently. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay. I
about
was about to say, no
Jerry
kidding.
Jones went out and signed him. He threw his girlfriend on a couch full of guns.
Yeah, I mean there's plenty
you know what I'm saying?
of players that have put their hands on their wife or their girlfriend.
The kicker
or
for the Giants was
have
arrested for
battery
domestic violence.
charges.
Yeah.
How about Ray Lewis?
You
Yeah,
could use Ray
exactly.
Lewis.
I know. I don't think he was. I think he was cleared, or there was.
he was,
you know,
but the thing with Ray, I think, did we talk about Ray at all?
I don't think we
His
touched
comment,
on
Yeah,
Ray.
I mean,
but
comments.
he had some interesting comments on Cap.
It's just so strange, the difference in time. Like, for example, when Muhammad Ali stood up for what he was standing up for as far as not going to
the draft,
the war,
yeah,
to the draft, because it was against his religious beliefs,
right.
there were athletes that stood with him and supported him. There's nobody really supporting Kaepernick right now, other than I think Sherman.
Yeah, Sherman was very vocal.
He
about
actually made a whole list of quarterbacks.
that Cap was better than. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did see that.
Did he really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I like
But-
Richard Sherman a lot.
There's
But
I'm
they're
sorry,
in
go
a
ahead.
bad position, even as players. I will say that, being that this is their livelihood. The average career for an NFL player is how many years?
Like 4 or something. Like,
Yeah.
I think they said 4 to 7 somewhere
Is it
in
that?
there.
Is
I
it
think
that
it's
high?
Is it that?
small.
Am I too
It's-
high?
I
Am
think it's
too
Well,
high?
like
because there's a
4.
lot of that's
4 years.
with
Okay.
an average. You have to take into effect like all the people we've never heard of that play
Exactly.
for a year and
Good
never
point.
play again.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Injuries are common, obviously, in football.
And I mean, they're putting the bodies and everything on the line, and they don't even have guaranteed contracts.
There's,
You have to hit certain marks in order to get paid in the NFL.
there's a picture of the athletic summit in the 60s that was spearheaded by Bill Russell back in the days when they were talking about, going for equality for the athletes,
Mhm.
black athletes, civil rights. And you see some of the people that were in that photo. You got Bill Russell sitting down, and you see Kareem, and you see Muhammad Ali, you see
Jim
Jim
Brown.
Brown, and it's like you see all of these guys together for one cause, no matter what the outcome was.
Mhm.
So to his point, it's a fine line because who are we to say, these gentlemen should try to stand up for something? In your heart, that's what you think.
Mhm.
But these guys have families that they have to provide for, right? So there's a catch-22 in terms of how far you want to go to take a stand. That's on the player. I would love to see some players just step to the side and be like, "Yo, we're gonna ride for Kaepernick." But it's I don't know. Like that's where I kind of get a little. There's a gray area to me. I'm coming alone, because I want to see some guys kind of get behind them, even if it's not like
But they're doing
strike.
the opposite. It's
Even
like
if it's not the strike, though, if it's like Sherm, where he came out and he started talking, or the Suggs, he was like, "We'd love to have him in Baltimore." Stuff
I mean,
like that.
you got Ray and Vic who aren't even actively playing that can't even, lend their support.
Yeah.
They're pretty much being
And a lot of people did support,
puppets in this situation.
support Michael
Yeah,
Vick.
good point.
Yeah, a lot of
did.
people supported Mike Vick.
Maybe not within the NFL, but
He had a ton of support.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about. I don't know Ray Lewis's whole situation. You know, there's a stabbing of some sort, right?
Yeah. Guy got killed.
Yeah.
Nightclub fight.
But with Mike Vick, I thought, again, I think we talked about this though a while back, but I was very surprised to hear that comment from him as someone who had gone through,
Right.
again, to the point we made that week, something a little like way different, but the support, like, Tony Dungy came and started mentoring him and
Yep.
I don't know,
Openly,
man.
open about it. Tony Dungy spoke highly of
I
Mike.
will say
guess I'll
Shannon
just
Sharp
say
has
this.
been in support of Kaepernick
Yes,
as well.
he has been.
Oh yeah, I'm extremely proud of Shannon Sharp.
People are obviously afraid of something to come out and
Absolutely.
support him, and I think we all kind of probably have an idea of what that is. They don't want to have happen to them what's happened to Colin Kaepernick.
Jump in there, Lone. Sorry about that.
This is an interesting issue.
Mhm.
The point that you brought up, Mike, about are people afraid to step up? There's two things. One, this isn't new, right?
Sure.
So let's go ahead and throw that out there. This isn't new. The
Agreed.
difference now is the ability for everybody to see it. Because if you think back to the 90s, there were sports players that boycotted and never made it back to a team.
Remember
True.
Chris Jackson or Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf?
Rauf,
Yeah, he's Muslim. Yep.
This isn't new.
I agree.
But we're in a position now to where the way that Collins stood up and the amount of controversy that he has, quote unquote, started, aligning with the Donald Trump presidency, the timing of everything it's different than it was in the past.
That's fair.
And I think I don't agree with the argument that I've seen multiple arguments with this. I've seen people say, well, are you going to boycott the NFL just this season, or are you going to keep going? I've legitimately just said I'm just not going to support the NFL anymore.
Period.
It's a wrap. I'm cool off that. Now,
Okay.
it doesn't mean that I'm not. I'm a Bears fan. I'm a huge Bears fan. People that know me know that. But I can't do it, and the reason I can't support it is because I can't just be halfway in it. I can't just say, oh well, if they sign him, then everything's all right. Now that's just what I personally want to do. Now that's just that's a personal boycott.
Yeah.
People can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've seen arguments come up. Well, why didn't you boycott in the past? Or these?
Of course. Yeah. That's
things change throughout time.
Yeah.
Right. You know. So I don't know. I guess the way that I see it is, I guess I already said it.
It makes sense. Like what you said is, see, that's the beauty of it. Everybody has a right, or we are all entitled to take things how we see it, right? So your opinion, you just eloquently described why you feel the way that you feel. So that's fine. Like I can dig that.
I don't think
it makes sense.
And I don't think the end all be all is, and like I said, the end all be all is not Colin getting signed.
Because, it's bigger than
because
that. It's bigger than that.
At this point, if he gets signed, it's just most likely a marketing ploy to get back in the good graces, right?
The
so
time
then
frame is passed.
So do you let that fly?
I see where you're
You know what I mean? Like,
right. I see where you're going.
At the end of the day, these owners are still super rich.
Yep.
That what I would like is to see some diversity as far as ownership in the NFL, because it's not very diverse.
Right.
I mean, and they don't really care about these players like that.
No.
As soon as you're injured, they're looking for the next person that can run the ball up the field, and
It's a business.
It's a business.
It's a business.
so
NFL owners are about, and I'm coming to you, Spoolz. NFL owners are about the bottom line. It's about the revenue.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line.
But it also says something about our society, and here's why. It did not affect the Dallas Cowboys attendance that Greg Hardy was on that team last year.
Talk that talk, Spoolz.
It did not affect
Talk that
you
talk.
know, other players. I don't know if you guys remember Dante Stallworth.
I do.
Right.
He, if I'm not, had killed somebody with his car.
Yes.
But all
And
they
I'm
did
not
was
trying to-
all they did was
No,
like
I
kill and
listen to
rape
you.
people.
Maybe
though.
I didn't say.
That's all they did was kill and rape people and have domestic. They didn't
yes.
stand up for
and
Yeah.
that
oppression.
To me, there's a double standard there.
it just
There
no,
is.
it just speaks a lot to what we seem to value as a
Right.
society.
Right.
It doesn't
this
matter.
man speaking out in the way he has chosen to. He's a football player, man.
He
Yeah.
is.
He plays a game.
He does. This is a
Yep.
sport.
And people are so bent out of shape about him doing this.
Right.
Not as bent out of shape about what he's
The reasoning,
protesting.
yeah, but they're bent out of
not
shape.
bent. That's okay.
And not to
Seemingly, or
mention
people
that
don't-
the words of the song don't apply to him.
Yep.
It doesn't apply to us.
Right. That's a fact.
I mean,
it's literally the verse is left out is talking about fighting and killing slaves.
Mhm.
That's a fact.
So
I'm familiar.
That's a fact.
why would I
Again,
be? I'm not understanding that at all.
No, I mean, again, it just seems it's a sad.
It's America, man.
It's
It
it's
is.
a
You're an
sad-
American. You got to
that's-
embody that.
Mm.
It is a
Mm.
sad reminder to me of what we seem to value societally speaking, or as what the masses, I guess, seem to value. Not what I value, or I think any of us do, or a lot of people. I mean, there's, I'm not, but they're afraid that they were going to lose money
It's the almighty dollar.
over this, but they did not lose. Nobody lost money when, some of these other guys.
they
It's
probably
just,
will
it's
lose money
unfortunate.
if you think of the equation of whites versus blacks to go to games or whatnot,
Mhm.
Right.
and the ones that are spending the money at these games
Yep.
and
Going to
have their
games-
hands in certain politicians' pockets and
Yeah.
things like that. All of that kind of comes to play. I can see that, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to do what's right.
Yeah.
So
Nobody speaks to the point that it's almost like there's a consensus across the board, at least to the media or in terms of how everything is perceived, that only white people are consumers of tickets. Like they're like, yeah, we have to take into consideration of our fan base. I'm like, well, there probably are black season ticket holders, jersey sales,
Yeah.
merchandise,
And
I'm
there
like,
are, but
I mean, it's not the majority.
yeah,
right?
and that's the
You know what I'm
point.
saying? It's not the
That's
And that's
majority,
the point.
but to his point, it still speaks to what we value.
Let me ask
So
you
what
guys
you're-
this question real quick, not
Yeah.
to cut you off. Do you think if the country weren't in the state it's in with what all happened in the election and Trump being our president, so
Uh-huh.
kind of maybe if this happened a year or two ago, do you think that this would be the same?
I do.
You think so?
I think it still does.
I
Yep.
think the president may have had something to say about it at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, he doesn't own the NFL.
Right.
What I was more thinking was along the lines of, were people more, well, when Obama was in office, and this might sound very idealistic or off base, but like maybe more accepting of certain things?
No.
You don't
No.
think so?
There
Yeah.
were people out here that literally thought that racism didn't exist until President Obama.
Oh, I understand.
Came
I'm not
office.
talking about
like,
like
I mean,
certain-
it all ties in together. Though.
What I'm trying to get in is like, is the climate of things the way Trump being president and the way things are now, has it changed people to perception of certain issues? Maybe just a little bit.
No, it's
You
just
don't think so?
it's just more out in the open.
That's Talon's point. I
Almost
think-
like triggered something in people. Some of this stuff did. You know what I mean?
I
Like
think
with Trump
Lone.
being
I think
president.
Lone hit it though when he was talking about, and I'm probably paraphrasing here, but I want to make sure I understood you correctly. The current state that we're in terms of president. Well, I don't call him president. You know what I mean? Oh boy, the state of America that we're in right now with him. I think that only maybe it kind of heightens. Do you think it? I think it has an effect on it, but I'm with Terry when I say the outcome, to me, in my opinion, in terms of the perception, is still going to be the same. It just might be more because of the presidential situation.
I think it depends on where you're coming from.
Okay.
I feel, now I can't speak as a Black American, obviously.
Sure.
But obviously things probably more the same, right?
Right.
But from a white person's perspective, seeing this and seeing Trump go through it and all this Colin Kaepernick stuff, as they say,
yeah,
I'm sure that white people in general are saying, why is this such a big issue now?
Right. Well,
I would say that it is probably a little bit more heightened.
What I'm saying is it's because Trump empowered people. It seemingly has empowered people to be more narrow-minded. Is what I'm getting at.
Maybe
Did the underlying feelings of all those things
I mean,
still exist within this country? Absolutely. I'm not saying like the fabric of the nation changed as a result, but I'm just saying like with certain social topics this has become a social topic, right? A socially related topic at this point. It's not about football just anymore. And it hasn't been for a long time now, right? I'm not saying it has. It's just something that's kind of I was thinking through is like, it's almost like with Trump being president, what's going on right now. Again, it's empowered people to not think.
So you mean more so along the lines of empowering people to not think, or empowering people to have. I can't disagree with that because I've seen.
It's almost like people were more
seem to be more empowered along those lines.
It's almost like people seemingly were maybe a hair more thoughtful about certain issues like this when Obama was in office,
or maybe more oblivious.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of kids were killed by police, and those same people were trying to figure out. Well, he had to have done something. And, I mean, it's all
true.
the same.
That's
I don't think it's changed people deep down. I don't know. Like I said, just kind of far-fetched. I was just kind of thinking about.
I see what Spoolz is talking about, but I'm siding with Terry because I still think the outcome and the perception is still going to be what it was. Like I think it would have been. I think it would have been received exact same way. 2 years ago or whatever? If this same situation happened.
Trump hasn't even been in office a whole year yet.
Right.
Yeah. So. And this happened before he was in office.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but to Spool's point though, like I think it's galvanizing in terms of his effect on how certain people perceive certain things. And again, I do agree with that.
I also don't want to sound like one of those people that's like, well, this is Trump's fault, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like the climate of things in this country.
Yeah,
it's okay to. It's almost like people feel like it's okay. I think again, to the point I made before, those feelings were always there.
Right.
But I think people feel more empowered right now to be assholes about stuff like this, man. Were they before? Yes, they were. I'm just saying, like, it's
yeah.
It's like
I see your point.
Like it's okay to be hateful almost in a way now. It's okay to be narrow-minded, or it's more like, oh yeah, that's what we need to be. Like, despite all the things that Colin Kaepernick is doing, the NFL game still won't sign him because he took a knee during the national anthem. And speaking about a social phenomenon that has been documented and occurs in our society. That is sad and unfortunate and unfair, and
I think it's
just fucked up. I'm sorry, it's just real fucked up to me.
I think it's a fair statement to say. I mean, Donald Trump is the president, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, I think it's fair to say that he has some sort of factor to play in that.
There's a
at least like empowering that at least to some extent.
There's a nationalistness, I guess, for lack of a better term, aspect to him being our president too.
Yeah.
Like almost this I mean, I hate
which appeals to the NFL crowd
Nazi,
as well.
It all that's what I'm exactly.
Like
football's American and he's not an American because he didn't do this. And like, no, think deeper than that. It's actually way deeper than that. And if you sat and thought about it, it would make sense, and it wouldn't. He would probably be signed. Exactly. And people wouldn't have to, these owners wouldn't have to think about this, as rich and wealthy and ridiculous as they are.
It's an American institution.
It's insane, dude. And that's, if you really start picking it apart like that, it is, I guess, back to my original point, we can move on or somebody else can talk, but like it's a reflection of what is important seemingly to us as people right now in the United States, the masses of us, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, because I mean, technically, he's just practicing his right as an American, quote unquote.
Didn't hurt anyone.
No.
Didn't harm anyone. Didn't
didn't
rape
hurt a
anyone.
soul.
Didn't throw anyone. Didn't fight anyone.
Didn't kill anyone. Didn't hurt a soul.
Nothing.
But it does speak a lot about the institution of the NFL and how old it is.
I mean, they call
The
it modern
owners are
day
all older.
slavery.
It
honestly.
speaks to the
Owners are all over 70-year-old white
Yeah.
people. You know, like
They
it
have a
speaks to
combine where they're
entertainment.
looking at people. They're looking at these men's bodies and sizing them up.
Yeah.
The same way when they were selling black men on the slave auction,
Mhm.
essentially. It's modern day. You know what I'm saying?
Not so. And you said the NFL. It was a what again on the NFL? You just made a.
it's I don't know.
It's about It's entertainment in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Mel Gibson, has he gotten jobs since all the ridiculous things that have come out of his mouth?
He creates his
Yeah.
own jobs too.
Mhm.
But yeah.
That's, again, he's an entertainer.
Hey, the thing about this is it's not going away.
No, it's not.
So this will be something that we can always come back. We always talk about, we do parts or whatever. So this will be something that we'll be able to jump back into. Good comments, though. I think everybody.
It's weird.
Yeah, everybody.
I think
The
it
dude
would
that
be-
has openly just said just absolutely disgusting things about all sorts of people can work. I understand it's not sports, but the dude that
Which guy?
is extremely Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Oh,
just
yeah,
as an
yeah,
example. But
yeah,
then the
yeah.
guy that is peacefully making a point.
It's
Yeah.
not the right color.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think it would be cool if players actually,
Did what we were talking about.
they stood
Yeah.
up and boycotted or something like that, or on a massive scale. I don't think it's going to happen.
The NFL is over 70% African American. You can make a change if 70% of your product decides to do one thing together.
But it's got to happen there.
But it has to happen there. It has to happen there. So they have the ability to make change somehow. Now, what happens from that change, what comes from that change, we don't know until it happens. But when your product is 70% African American, you have the majority to swing something some way.
And then there's always Terry's point. People trying to get paid too.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
So
the gray area. But we'll jump back into that when I know that it will resurface at some point. I wanted to kind of switch gears and maybe get into a little music. I know at least I watch every once in a while. I'll be skimming through YouTube at work or whatever and watch Everyday Struggle on Complex with academics who Lone loves and Joe Budden. So an interesting topic came up. Joe Budden pretty much just admitted to jerking producers in his past. He tried to clarify it and backtrack today, saying that it was just his past. But there was a producer for Playboy Cardi. I have no idea who that is.
Cardi B.
No, it was Playboy
No,
Cardi. That's the
Playboy
artist.
Cardi.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
And
Yeah, I know we didn't do old heads, but y'all ain't got to sound that old.
I don't know who Playboy Cardi is.
I didn't
I'm
sound
sorry.
I
was-
I know
not
Cardi
talking
B.
to you.
yeah.
I
I'm
know.
being 100 right now.
Hey,
So
Yeah,
I know who Cardi B is.
I know. That's
I know
what
who
I'm
Cardi
saying.
B is.
She popping.
I thought
Yeah.
that was in reference to Cardi B. I didn't know
Nah,
that was
Cardi-
He was one of the freshmen on the cover this past.
I'm sorry. I missed that.
You seen
So this
it.
was about Playboy. So this was about Playboy Cardi. This was
Yeah.
I didn't know
Cardi
that.
B out there getting it. You can't
What's
knock
that
her.
song
She
she's
getting
got?
it.
Kodak. What's it?
Kodak.
Bodak
It's called Bodak.
Yellow.
Yeah,
Bodak,
Bodak
yeah.
Yellow. She out
Bodak
there getting
Yellow.
it. Every time I hear that song in any setting, it goes crazy. So she has a smash. Say
All
what
right,
you
so that's a
want.
little. That actually kind of changes my perspective a little bit because I thought it was Cardi B.
Nah, this is Playboy Cardi and
That is Cardi B's song.
Oh, it is. Wait,
Yeah.
who's the producer?
no,
Playboy Cardi is an artist.
He's
not a
separate from-
producer.
yeah.
Okay.
he's separate from Cardi
Let-
B.
let's start over.
Cardi B did the song Bodak Yellow.
I know
it's
that.
really
Which is a
popular.
I'm not
Smash.
talking about that. I'm talking about what Joe's talking about.
Joe's in relation to a artist named Playboy Cardi.
That's what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Okay.
And the producer for him
has
getting
issues with that.
jerked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, that changes my.
Yeah. So Joe basically went on a rant talking about how he's jerked producers in the past and not paid producers for their beats and this and that, and it happens and blah 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 blah. And then on today's episode, he talks about how, well, that was me back in the past. I'm not saying I do that now, but it was very, very interesting. A lot of guys that I know that are producers. One of my guys, DQ in Chicago, he made a post and tagged me, Il Brown, and a couple other people, just on perspective to see how we felt about producers getting jerked. And I think what stood out to me with Joe Budden was how freely he thought it was cool to just be like, yeah I've jerked the producers before.
He just thought it was
like, he laughed it off like, yeah, it happens. And I'm like,
it's one thing coming from academics. It's another thing coming from Joe Budden.
Exactly. So I was very disappointed to hear him say, yeah, that's how it happens sometime. And then he, like I said, he backtracked today and was like, well, if you are in the music industry and you expect to get paid for everything that you do, then you're not living in reality, which could be fair. But that has nothing to do with you openly jerking people out of their production.
Jerking.
Yeah. So I don't honor that. Like,
nah, that's some fuck shit.
Yeah, that's what that is. So in my opinion, I think it's trash when you don't pay a producer, he or she, whoever made the beat, made the record, helped you make a dope song. They got to eat at some point. That's why, to me, artists are so hard to deal with now. Like, I'd rather just work corporately and try to find corporate people because they pay on time. I promise you.
They cut the check.
They cut the check up front. Licensing, it's an agreement. Everything is squared away. Well, thank you, sir. You know what I mean? There's no egos.
Transaction.
Yeah, it's none of that nonsense. I don't have to try to track you down, multiple emails. Like, it's just hard, man. Nobody honors the producer like they used to.
I don't know about that. I think
true.
I think it is in terms of when it comes to the business side. I'm not talking about producers having names and all that. If you get on the wave, like, there's a lot of kids that are making dope beats right now that are eating, that are successful, that are getting with these artists. That's cool. Like, I get it. Teach his own. You eat. Producers are popping in terms of that. But I think there's a level where it's hard to work with certain artists because you see the artists that got the foams and the money on the Instagram and they in VIP popping bottles, but they want a free beat from me. I don't honor that. Like, that's backwards to me.
They trying to put you on, though.
No, they're not trying to put me on.
That's the argument.
That doesn't work for me.
That's the argument.
I was going to bring that up. I think I guess, and I'm not a producer, so you guys, keep that in mind. But I know how to do business, right? So it's all about the agreement to me at the beginning with whoever it is you're working with. If you start talking about, to an artist, you guys, and like you start vibing or you start playing stuff for them, like, I would think before you ever gave that person one beat, you'd be like, all right, so what's the arrangement here? And the arrangement can be a number of things, right? It could be, let's say, Mike, if, let's think of somebody you like, if Kendrick Lamar, you got an email from Kendrick Lamar tomorrow and he asked you for a beat. And I know that's an extreme example, but the point that I'm making is, like, it would be beneficial if it was a dope song by Kendrick Lamar produced by Maja 7.
It would be a dope.
And he was like, I need that on the strength. And side note, I'm asking for it for free because your name is going to be on this, and I'm going to expose your name to millions of people in your production. And that's what's worked out prior.
I want my publishing.
I want my publishing. I don't care what you gonna do for my name.
Point I'm saying is, whatever it is, like, do I see that being what you just said, like, beneficial for some people? Oh yeah, absolutely, it's beneficial to have. Not forever though.
Exactly.
I wasn't even serious when I said that.
Oh, okay, but I think for some people that does help.
But dude didn't,
especially if you're starting out.
I'm saying there's artists out here that aren't that dude that literally tell producers this.
Then that's whack.
That's the reason why I said
if you're doing that.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh no, it's weak.
Definitely not talking about nobody of Kendrick stature.
Yeah, if you're it's all about the agreement up front, man. Now it's shady if Joe was saying like, oh yeah, I told him I'd give him XYZ or whatever, and then just didn't. That's just a dick move. Period. Yeah.
Period. Jump in, Lon.
So the way these transactions happen is another thing to throw into the mix. So if you're a producer and let's say I call Mike and I have, let's say I work with somebody in Chicago. Let's say I work with Rhymefest and Sky Zoo. I have plugs, and I know that they need beat CDs. I might hit up Mike, and I might know Mike, and I might say, hey, can you send me a beat CD? I can get it in front of them. Now, if you're a producer, are you going to say no, or are you going to say yes? How are you going to finagle that work? A lot of producers are just going to be like, here's the CD. And then you're going to find out what happens or what doesn't happen with that track. Because coming from a producer aspect, a lot of times, especially when you're looking for that, let's quote unquote break, that's what you want. You want the name recognition. You want to be known. But it doesn't mean that you don't want to get paid for it.
Sure.
So it's a balancing act too. Like if I sell a beat to somebody and it gets 2,000 plays on Twitter or SoundCloud or 200 retweets or whatever, that's cool.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
If they're touring and they're selling hundreds of thousands of copies of it, it's different.
Sure.
And if where they started from the beginning is different from where they end, I can see where the producer is going to be like, all right, now here's what I'll say to your point. There's a learning curve to where sometimes you got to get burnt as a producer to understand that you need to handle and conduct your business better.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been there and also know colleagues of ours that have been there as well.
Sure.
So, and then that's, you learn how to deal in those situations.
So do you kind of, in that scenario, and I'm asking again because I'm not a producer, in that where you say, I'm sitting with so-and-so, they want beats, and you give them the CD. Is that more than for you guys like a, let's see if this guy does the right thing?
Let's see if he likes anything. See if anything
I'm sorry. Assuming that that person likes 3 or 4 of those joints.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna write to these, and these are gonna be on my album, blah, 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 whatever. At that point, are you just kind of like, all right, let's see if this person again does the right thing, and the right thing to do. So I'm a DJ, and I've done scratches for a lot of people before, right? Smaller part, obviously, than what a beat is. However, I take time with what I do, and I think I'm pretty good at it. You know what I'm saying?
It's still important.
There's people I've worked with where I knew I wasn't going to get any money,
mm-hmm.
and I was okay with that.
Yeah,
because we had kind of agreed to that. There's people I've worked with that I've asked to be paid, and I got paid.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people I've worked with that I didn't say anything about it at all. And some people gave me money without me asking, and some people didn't.
So let me.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
let me break it down like this.
Yeah.
All right. So what you just said is services rendered, essentially.
Correct.
I can sell a beat to Mike to rap on for $200, or I can give him this beat.
I'm gonna body it too. No, I don't rap.
That's cool. He can kill it. He can put it out. That's great. Now, at the end of the day, as a producer, as an artist, you are still entitled on the back end. You got to look at it in 2 different ways. You have services rendered, and then you have publishing.
Okay.
You're still entitled to your publishing.
All day.
You made that. So when they go and put that song on anything, when they register that on your BMI or your ASCAP or whatever you use for performance royalties, which is what Playboy Cardi thing was.
You get paid from that.
You get paid from that every time that goes on. So it's not paying for that very specific use. It's paying for the continual use of that in specific instances.
Can you publish beats before you ever give them to someone? Can you get your publishing squared away before you ever?
You can register them to your.
You can, but
publishing.
But how you register them is so the beat that I did for the Golf Channel,
Mm-hmm.
I registered that as an instrumental for this commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I get my publishing because I own my own publishing company as well.
I bet they paid you.
They did.
Okay.
So I get that money. That's 100% me. Now, if I sell this beat or I sell another beat and that's to Mike and he's rapping on it.
The same beat.
I don't know how that would work necessarily, but I'm guessing.
You can't sell the same beat though.
It depends on if it's exclusive versus lease.
Right.
If you lease
true.
something, I can resell it.
Right.
Yeah,
But if it's exclusive, it's a wrap.
But again, as far as publishing goes, it's going to pull from different areas. So, because I know it works different with commercials as well, because it goes to another third party. But anyways, I guess my point is, when that artist files for that publishing, they have to say if they own how much of that track they own.
Okay.
So, and there's a whole form on there, and there's a button on there that says, do you own 100% of this or not? That is where your 50-50 gets split up between your
Lyrics
publishing,
and your beats. Yeah.
well, your publishing company, and then your artists.
Yep.
And then the artist aspect gets split up between
Songwriter
or producer or whoever else contributed to that.
Yep.
So that 25% there would be 25% for the writer, 25% for the producer normally, unless you negotiate something different.
Right.
So that's where that conversation needs to happen. Like I personally don't have any problem sending beats to people and them using them. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But if if I send something to somebody and then it becomes a hit and then they start to sell a whole bunch of copies of it, I want some of that money.
And the kid that
you should get some of that
Right.
money.
But
And that's where you have to hope that when that person registered that song or published it,
Or
that they didn't click that 100% button, right?
Or you have to make sure that it's known that I want this, or you have to have that contract in place, or you have to do your business on
The
that
kid-
aspect
this
of it.
blows up, then
But the kid
we
that
split this way.
the
Be
kid
ready
that
to
produced the
lawyer up
record
at
for
the end of the day.
for Playboy Cardi hasn't received anything. That's why he's mad.
So
he
what
hasn't
was
received
their
anything.
what was their discussion like?
That's the question.
knows.
That's the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
That's the question. Because it sounds like, based off what I read, it was an off the strength situation back in the day,
Probably.
and it turned out the record turned out to be a smash when dude blew.
Yep.
So he's like,
Where's it at?
"Well, I need
Honestly,
50,000."
That's what I'm saying. I would think that, and again, that comes down to the person too. Like the right thing to do there, right?
Yeah,
Is-
that's
would be to-
100%.
Yeah.
The right thing to do would be to hit up the producer and to say, hey, we're putting this on something. Let's, put that out.
Mhm.
But it's also on the producer too. To Spool's point, and you don't think like that when it's back when
Nah.
somebody's coming up and it's like we've done this for years.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll hit Mike's co-produced joints on his Jones project, and he's got his publishing percentages on those.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I reached out to him.
Exactly.
You did the right
every,
thing.
every single project I've done, I've reached out to artists and I said, "Hey, are you registered?" And we get ready, and we do all that stuff just in case.
Right.
Even if we don't make any money off it, at least it's there.
Every
know.
artist is not. I don't want to make it seem like every artist is a headache. There are people out there that do good business.
Yeah.
There are people that will come to you and ask you and say, "Hey, I'm trying to use this for XYZ. What do you think? Let's talk about it. Let's do this.
Mhm.
I'll give you this if you track it out, blah, 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 blah." So
Yeah.
there are people that are up front. He can speak to this in being on the Printfinity side in terms of business transactions. There are people that will actually be up and tell you exactly what their intentions are for a record. But there's always the other side of that person where we have to play this. We have to track them down.
It's a
Yeah.
dance.
It's a dance. It goes back and forth the entire time. And that's what's frustrating as someone that actually sells a service, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably could speak to as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel bad for the kid because I guess the record's pretty big. So dude's touring,
I mean,
he's getting merch.
he's on the freshman cover.
Exactly. So he did something right to get there. And it sounds like the record that this kid produced helped him become who he is.
Now he also said he wanted 50 stacks for that, right?
Yeah, like he wanted 50 stacks. So if he wants 50 stacks, that tells me he must have given that guy that beat a while back, and he's trying to get cumulative.
Because that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
For
That's
some,
a lot
for
of
some
money.
production credits. Like,
Is it?
yeah,
That's a lot of money.
How much money do you think he's grossing off the ability to
I don't-
perform that song though? To me, that seems like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I
would
don't think that's a. How's that? A
how
lot,
many
though?
how many songs does he perform every night?
How many shows is he performing?
I don't know, but the song that he's speaking of is the song that's like on the radio.
That's
getting
so it's on
constant
the radio as
rotation.
well.
Okay, that's
well,
different.
so that's different.
That's
If it's on the
different.
radio, then that's a whole nother thing.
He needs
Yeah.
his bag, then especially if it's getting spun on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
it's
needs
like,
his
That's
bag.
kind of what I was saying.
Yeah.
If this is the song that's really driving Playboy Cardi's popularity right now,
It is.
50,000 seems like.
Yeah,
I'd
that
be like,
seems
I'd be like,
light.
here you go.
That's light.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's all relative, but either way, the kids should get bread if it's being spun on the radio
Yeah,
repeatedly, right?
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Do you
Yeah.
guys ever do so is publishing when it comes to that, is that So let's say you did what you just said. 25% to the MC, 25% to use the producer, and 50 to the publishing company, which is crazy. That's a lot of money for the publishing
Which is
company
why
to
we
get.
own our own publishing companies.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So is that paid out from a royalties standpoint
Yes.
then? And from a plays standpoint, how
It's
that
paid
also,
out
you get a check every month, you get a what?
Quarterly. I believe it's
and
quarterly.
I think it has to reach. No, they just send it out. There's no minimums.
Some of them can be small. Some of them can be.
Yeah, I mean,
You ever sold a beat at a flat rate?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that happens.
But again, you got to look at it like there's two ways to look at it. I'll sell a beat as a flat rate, either a lease or an exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
but it has nothing to do with my publishing. I still want my publishing.
Yeah.
Because I helped create it. So
Do you make people aware of that when you sell them the beat?
yes.
You
Absolutely.
must. If not, you won't get in.
Have people ever, what
listen.
percentage of people have said, thank you, but no thank you? And what percentage of people were like, cool,
I've never had anybody have an issue with it.
gotcha.
I've had corporations be confused about the process, which is understandable.
Kind of, and it's kind of funny too. It's like, no, I want to get paid when this thing gets played.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean?
you know,
Period.
it's
Yeah.
Why
like
you want money? You want more money? Like,
You're
no, it's
like-
like I want.
you're playing it, so it's
Yeah, because they
it's
probably
going
think
somewhere.
I made that.
they probably think they're actually paying you
Yeah. It's
every
a lot-
time, rather, and it's like a whole separate entity that's actually
mhm.
paying.
A lot of
Definitely
times, it's just simple ignorance. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
just not
not
knowing,
understanding,
just
yeah.
not understanding, not knowing it, not being there. You know, publishing was extremely hard for me to grasp. It took me a long time to grasp publishing.
I still would. I'm still like, there'll be situations where I'll be like, hey, I'll call him and be like, hey man, you got a second? You know what I mean? Like we depend on each other like that. Like
Gotcha.
you help each other. Like
Yeah.
experiences and stuff that he will go through will help me and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? But it's just weird, man. Like it's tough, but hopefully the kid gets, hopefully he gets something
And the thing is
at some point.
most of the stuff that I've done, I mean, I don't collect a lot of royalty checks.
Right.
So do you think, let me ask this as far as, and I hope not to keep, this is interesting to me just because I've always, as someone who's been involved with music and doing it, I've never really cared that much for the business side of music. It just seems shady.
Mm.
And not shady and like dangerous. Like I don't care. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm shady like everybody's trying to get over, trying to, and that's business in general in a lot of cases. But with music, I'm just always kind of like, no, like maybe I'm too hippie about it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'll do this. Like, you
Right.
know, like this should be fair and shit.
Mhm.
So, but
Life's not fair.
tell me about it, Terrence. Tell me about it.
Life is not fair, Bradley.
But no, I mean, this seems it is somewhat complex. So I guess the question I was gonna ask is, do you think that the fact that a lot of people don't know about this stuff that you guys are talking about and how important it is how a lot of people get over on like some of these younger
Yeah,
artists?
absolutely.
And that's
No
why
question.
Absolutely.
17 and 18-year-old kids are the ones
Absolutely.
making like the hottest songs.
I feel like Mike's been there.
I have. Oh,
You
I've
know?
definitely been there. I've been on the other side. It's not a good feeling, man.
I
Especially
mean,
when,
imagine not.
when you see it come to fruition and it's like, dang, I missed out on that.
Well,
It's
here's
like-
and that might have sounded like a naive question because obviously that's been going on in the music industry for years and years and years and years. I mean, it's you could just name,
But the answer is absolutely yes.
but
No doubt
But it's
about
just
it.
interesting to me that although you described something that people didn't know about it, the concept of publishing doesn't sound that complex. And I'm not like
yeah.
putting anyone down if they did. You know what I mean?
think
I'm
most
not-
most artists and producers come from a standpoint where they think, I'm trying to make, especially starting out, I'm gonna make beats, I'm gonna sell beats.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not like
Maybe.
I'm gonna sell you this beat. I'm gonna sell you this hat, but what they don't know is you could actually make money every time somebody wears this hat.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they almost
Exactly.
maybe they don't know that that's
And it's different from streaming as well.
Oh
so
my
it's
God,
completely
that's a
different. So
totally
another
different
beast.
headache. Yeah.
so
But what we could do is that'll be something that we can try to revisit. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, I feel like we all have certain levels of knowledge that we can try to give out
Mhm.
from the DJ aspect, from the producer aspect as well.
yeah, we were there
So-
for a while, weren't we?
Man, but it's cool though. It's cool. That's good. We dropped jewels. I want to make sure that we shout out though, because we talked about this before we get ready to wrap up. I want to put a little attention on this. We have our patrons list. Did I say it right this time for Patreon?
It's
Correct
just
me if I'm wrong.
patrons.
They
I
are
said
patrons.
patrons.
Patreons on Patreon.
Patreons on Patreon.
No, they're just patrons.
patrons.
Patrons on Patreon.
There you
Patrons on Patreons. It sounds like a shirt.
It's not plural.
So these are the people that have actually joined what I like to call the NOH Army. You know what I'm saying? They are supporting us. They're part of the community. So I want to actually give them some love. Read off the names.
Because we've reached our $50.
Yes.
So that Odyssey interview is live.
That Odyssey, yes. That Odyssey interview is live. I was honored to get a chance to sit down with that brother. We all had a chance to kind of
Chalk it up with him.
chop it up a little bit.
Good
Great
job,
vibe.
Mike. You did a great job on the interview.
Thank you, man.
I was unfortunately could not be there that night. So, but I've watched it a couple times and
It's a good interview.
definitely, yeah, man.
It's a real
Check it
good
out,
interview.
man. You asked some good questions. Odyssey's answer. I mean, he just seems like a real thoughtful dude. He's very
He is.
smart, extremely intelligent. Wouldn't
Yeah.
expect anything
So we're
else. He, very humble dude.
We appreciate
Very humble.
appreciate him for giving us some time because they were right before rehearsal and everything. So he came up. He was very gracious.
you can hear the music in the background. Actually,
Oh my gosh, yeah,
it was
that's
echoing.
that's a whole story in
his,
itself.
not to drop, obviously everyone watch it, but his take on younger artists, older artists, and that whole constant
Man,
Culture,
discussion
Western civilization.
yeah.
is pretty poignant, man.
There's lots of gems in that.
So make sure y'all go check that out. It's on breakingdowntheband.com. But I want to give these people shouts out because they are definitely very important to us and they're looking out for us. So we have Malcolm Wells, Nicole Porter, Michael Howard. That's my guy, Mike Noise, is what I call him. Spencer Hooks, E. Wilson, that's my man. James Nave III, that's my cousin. Appreciate you. Allison Austin, Abraham Leon,
Poppy.
aka Poppy Hamon.
He just sent me a voicemail. I gotta.
Oh gosh.
haven't heard it
Kenneth
yet.
Cook, aka Pete Sake,
It's my
Kevin
guy.
Johnston,
Yep.
And,
Shout out to old co-worker of mine. Yeah.
right on, and Daniel Mendoza.
Old co-worker of mine as well.
I know some of these people I have to meet and get a chance to meet some of the other people in the channel. So I look forward to doing
I know a
that.
few of those names. Nicole Porter, big
Oh, yeah.
hip hop fan.
Oh, yeah.
She knows a
She'll-
lot
Oh, yeah.
about hip hop.
She'll
Oh, yeah.
discuss. She'll talk. She'll discuss it. She'll go
Malcolm
back and
sharp.
forth with you.
Malcolm seems like a sharp guy.
Yeah.
Very sharp guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool guy.
Nicole will pop up on my page.
Eric's big
and
supporter.
go hard.
Eric's
Yeah.
shares, just I guess
Your
to-
hats are in the mail, Malcolm. I got you.
yeah,
That's
to
what's up.
put a bow on it. We appreciate everyone's support
Yeah,
Definitely.
tremendously, and we're working on setting the next goal.
It's
And-
going to be $100. We're at 58 right now.
Yep.
Okay,
So if we reach when we reach 100,
there we go. Talk that talk now.
we got
Speak it.
the we have
Speaking
two
into
interviews
existence.
actually we have 3 interviews in a queue.
Yeah.
But 2 of them are pretty much done. It's the Olivier St. Louis.
Yep.
Which is a very good interview, I think.
Sharp brother right there.
And then we sat down with Moonchild very briefly for
Love
about
them.
6 or 7 minutes. So we got that one.
Love
and then
them.
I interviewed Pat Jr.
Yes. Shout out to the
So-
homie Pat
Yeah.
Schumer.
Got to talk to
Junior.
my guy TR and get all that taken care of. But
Yeah, we got some stuff in the queue for you guys to enjoy. So we really appreciate anybody that's supported and has come on and rock with us. Because the thing about it is, like I said, with Nicole, for example, I will post just on my regular page and I look up and she'll be going back and forth with my friends on there, like just dropping jewels and dropping, her opinion. So that's what it's about, man.
No doubt.
Conversation is healthy. So we really appreciate that.
But we have
those
our
guys.
private channel, so check out our options, man. We got a $1, $2, $3, $2, $6. We got vinyl raffles.
Yep.
No bad idea hat raffles. And then some Printfinity stuff, and we have some other goodies on there. But
Yeah.
Yeah, man, no doubt. It's really, really, really appreciated. I mean,
Yeah.
the money is going to obviously to the good things to help us make this show better for everyone.
Yes.
So
we have some interview stuff we want to purchase. So
Yeah.
patreon.com/newoldheads.
What are the people called that sign up again?
Patrons.
Shout out to Lone, man. Lone is what we call the grammar police.
it's a word.
Definitely. It's a word. I never.
Is that in the style of Kiss? That's what that looks like.
It-
The Kiss
Dude,
logo,
you
but it
took-
says Kush. Yeah.
It's a
Good
Kiss
catch.
Kush. The Oddities dad hat.
Nice. That's the first thing I thought. Spoolz. Good catch. That would actually go with your Sean P shirt.
Maybe a little.
Speaking of Sean P.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out real quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To Indianapolis lost a great DJ,
Yes.
Yes.
a overall awesome dude. Was always nice, always cool, always upbeat, always smiling. DJ Spoolz. I want to give a shout out to him and his family.
Prayers for his family. Yeah,
yeah,
He
man.
will definitely be missed around the city, and we're all thinking about you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Rest
for
in
sure.
peace, man. DJ Spoolz, no doubt.
Yeah. Anytime you see someone, how old was he? He was
39, I think. 38,
Right.
39.
That's young. That's young. So, again, prayers to his family. It's just tough to anytime, especially in the music community, but just in general, when you see a life that's taken at that, especially at an age like that. So definitely prayers to his family. Do we have anything else I think we talked about the Kush hat. Am I missing anything else?
Listen to the new Sean Price album because it's really good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. We got
Really good.
Treese is a few weeks away, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
26th.
But
Yeah.
26. That's gonna be dope. I'm trying to think I feel like I'm missing something.
We can catch it on the next one.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing anything. I think we should be good there. So, Lonegevity,
Yes.
DJ Jay Diff, DJ Spoolz, I am Major 7th. We are the New Old Heads. We appreciate you as always. Episode 41 is a wrap. Remember, subscribe. We got buttons, we got stickers, we got buttons
And hats.
and hats.
shirts.
And Patreon.
And vinyl.
and wax.
All that.
And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Holler.